Good afternoon on what is a cool, bright and sunny day. It is Friday, December the 15th, and I'm in the reading nook with a nice hot cup of tea. And a box to continue unboxing. And what I have in here is a copy of Imperium Maledictum, which is the latest role-playing game published by Cubicle 7, set in the world of Warhammer 40,000, the science fiction miniatures battle setting owned by Games Workshop. So, for the galactic west, far to the galactic west of Terra, within the segmentum Pacificus, lies the Macarian sector, a teeming region of industrial worlds named for the legendary Lord Solar Macarius. The sector suffered greatly amidst the darkness of the Noctis Eterna. Unleashed across the Imperium by the opening of the Great Rift, whole worlds have been reduced to ruins, while others fall prey to honeyed whispers of inhuman powers. Sector Lord Aulus Sejanus looks to rebuild his shattered domain, but anarchy and sedition are widespread. The shadows have grown long where once the Lord Solar Macarius light shined brightly, and the fate of an entire sector lies in doubt. Create your characters and a powerful patron to lead them, and join the hopeless fight. Learn intriguing secrets and terrible truths drawn from a detailed guide to the Macarian sector, master terrible psychic powers and bring brutal weapons to bear on lethal foes, uncover subtle plots and investigate horrendous crimes. In the face of an uncaring galaxy, dare to struggle for a glimpse of ever-fading light. The Imperium Maledictum rulebook contains everything you need from a grim and treacherous role-playing in the 41st millennium. Here we have inside, we've got a map of the Macarius sector. Now, this role-playing game isn't entirely new, because it's sort of based upon the first of the Warhammer 40,000 role-playing games to appear back in the early 2000s, actually published by the Black Library of Games Workshop. That was Dark Heresy, and then subsequently, when the Black Library's role-playing arm was shut down, picked up and published by Fantasy Flight Games. So, we've got the cover, unshorn text on the front, and then contents page, quite a lengthy contents page because it's quite a thick book. And then we're into the introduction, some background to the setting, covering, a little quick guide to new to role-playing games and how to roll the dice. Before we have a feature which is common to sort of like all of the Warhammer set role-playing games from Cubicle 7, which is essentially setting the scene with artwork and in-game text. And here you've got a giant Gothic battleship and various other scenes from the far future of the 41st millennium. So it's really quite dark, brooding artwork here. And then we are on to how to create a patron. And a patron essentially is obviously going to be the player character's boss throughout a campaign, the person that they are going to be working for, and answer to, and essentially this is done, presumably, from what I gather, this is done as a combined exercise between the game master and the players, and they decide upon the patron faction, his boons and liabilities, and so on. So that every patron is different. So you've got lots of options there to create an interesting patron. Essentially becomes an NPC and more besides. And you're looking at things like his motivation, demeanor, payment, and then the boons that he can grant. I say he could be a sheer course, could be logic, could be intuition, could be air support, could be blackmail, could be cartographica contacts, data fault access. They're all listed here, so lots of options. And then you look at his liabilities. Things like data addict, draconian, frail form, meticulous archivist, territorial, warp divisions, that sort of thing. And then basically his background and his influence. And there we have the patron summary sheet. And then we're on to creating your character and taking it through essentially characteristics, origin, faction, role, entertainment, adding detail, bringing your character to life, and finishing touches. But there is a sort of detailed career path that's going to go through. There's the character sheet summary. Talking about characteristics and your origins. So you've got a little table of that for that down there, and so on. So your origins could be a feral world, agri world, feudal world, and so on. A shrine world, even void born. Your particular faction. You know, you basically choose or roll, and then each of these factions is detailed. You get a 2-page spread, so sort of like you've got some background, essentially sort of like on your faction and who you're tied to. You know, as well as your fellow investigators, your fellow player characters, and also your patron. So that's, I mean, the thing is, so what you're doing via the patron and then via your factions, you're bringing in sort of like the setting politics. You know, you can be from a rogue trader dynasty, and so on. And then you're talking about your role. You've got a table of random talents there. You've got like a role, interlocutor, mystic, penumbra. Lots of options for character types. Savant, warrior, zealot, and equipment. And each of these has a role benefit, so you've got a list of the benefits you gain from having that kind of background. You've got a table of names, if you can't think of one yourself, or be inspired by it, and then you bring your character to life. With connections, divinations, and then looking at all the skills and talents you can take. Specializations. So you've got things like, let's have a look. At melee specializations, brawling, one-handed, two-handed, quite broad actually. At psychic mastery, you know, you essentially it could be biomancy, divination, pyromancy, telekinesis, telepathy, and so on. So there isn't actually a wide range of skills in there. It's not like Warhammer Fantasy Roleplay, where you do have quite a big list of skills. And then talent, things like acute sense, bone breaker, attentive assistant, devoted servant, and complete with a table on which to roll, so you can choose your servant. Forbidden law, full auto fanatic, and even psychic castration, so if you don't want to be affected at all by psychic effects. And then an armory deals with your equipment, and craftsmanship of that equipment. So you've got a big list of weapons, and they've all got their own traits. And then there we go. Lots of different weapons. And there's the tables for them. can modify your weapons. And it's going to do the same thing for protection. The armour you're going to wear. Other items you might be equipped with. You know, whether you've been given it by a patron, bought it, scavenged it, taken it off a dead body, you know, someone, you know, who, and so on. Augmetics, so you can replace your legs, limbs, arms, and so on. Sectional services. And then we have psychic powers, because psychers play a role in the Imperium. Talk about psychic disciplines and how you manifest your powers. And then you've got a list of them, so things like core vermin, combustion, dull pain, dread presence, float. Those are the minor powers. And then luck, nova, psychic, static, jinx, just a range of really interesting and it looks like fun powers to use. Things like bio lightning or hemorrhage, metabolic overdrive, shaped flesh, quite unpleasant possibly psychic powers there. So quite a long list of psychic powers, all the way down to telepathy and mental interrogation. And then we actually get onto, so this bit is sort of essentially background to your characters, primarily creating your patron and all your skills and talents and your psychic powers. It isn't until this bit here where you get the rules section. And as you can see, it's a percentile system. Nice and simple, straightforward. And it's nicely illustrated. I do like the fact that you made the effort to make it, you know, look, here are the dice you're rolling, and here are possible results, and talking about the results, you know, as you would see them on the table. And handling things like influence and twisting fate, like when you roll a double, or you know, reversing, or re-rolling and so on. Rules for that. Having superiority in a situation. And then we get on to combat. And it's talking about, you know, bring it to life. And then over the page, it goes into a little bit more detail with an example. You know, here's the battlefield, here's the zones. You know, sort of calling back to the combat, the mass combat rules you get with Warhammer 40,000. So yeah, lots of rules on combat, actions, defend, attack, and other sort of similar situations you would encounter in combat. How to make an attack. Handling damage and wounds. And then things like fate and corruption. You know, basically fate is fickle, of course, and corruption is an ever-present danger in the 41st millennium. So you've got, this is followed by tables of mutations and malignancies which the player characters could suffer as a result of their corruption, and damns them to, according to the Inquisition. I'll move on to handling vehicles in the setting. And then what to do between missions, downtime, handling events, endeavours, group endeavours. So you've got a table of possible events between missions, things going to happen. And then, so you've got various things there, and then we will go on to the Imperium, which is the setting content. Basically providing an overview of the galaxy, the far future, including the factions, and basically building upon the information that's already been given in the faction sections for character creation. So obviously starting off with Adeptus Astris Telepathica, Adeptus Mechanicus, Adeptus Administratum, all of which will, if you're a fan of the Warhammer 40k, this will be all familiar to you. And then drilling down a bit detailed into the actual proper setting for the full campaign, you have the Makarian sector. And this will give you a history, coming all the way up to date, essentially with dealing with things like the Makarian heresy, and just an overview in terms of things, aspects of the setting like the military and faith, silence and darkness, and the existing Makarian cults and criminal cartels, night houses and rogue trader houses of note. World to the Makarian sector, and this makes use of the map. There we go, on the inside front and back cover. So we've just got essentially guides to the different worlds of the Makarian sector. Not all of them, presumably, but essentially the primary ones. So I'm just going to flip further forward because it's just listed worlds after worlds. We have in-game communiques. I'll pass on more details and feel to the setting. So we have things, we'll get on to, where are we? The Game Master. Here's a section for the Game Master, cold fingers, just trying to get to it. So, how to set up the game before you begin, the golden rules, things like that, session 0, addressing elements such as tone and themes. And then we push on to general advice on running the game and running investigations in particular, because that's what you're primarily going to be running. Because essentially what your player characters are going to be are throwaway investigators for the patrons. Encounters and complications table. So basically use that sparingly. There are only a few options on there. Potential rewards. Advice on using grid-based combat and miniatures. Then we have a bestiary. And of course a lot of this is going to be supplemented by further releases, but this is anything really for a good start. So you've got a ganger there, as an example. And then we've got members of the Adeptus Astra Telepathica. All a bit plain, I have to say. There's good art in here, but it's not used extensively. And there aren't a lot of NPCs here illustrated, which you kind of would have liked to be. A tech priest. Enforcer, arbiter. Astra Militarium trooper. Would have been a few more like that would have been nice. Interrogator, also Death Cult Assassin and Acolyte. voidsmen and armsmen troops. So, Imperial citizens, dregs, gangers, smugglers, you know, essentially the ordinary citizens, for the most part, bounty hunters, gang leaders. And then we have heretics, cultists, accursed cultists, and chaos spawn. Cult leader, rogue psyker. And then demons such as nurglings and bloodletters. Again, not illustrated as much as I would like. Plague bearers, demonites, pink horrors. And then blue horrors and brimstone horrors. And we also got, basically in the Appendix 1, we've got a fumble table. Appendix 2 is we've got a curio table. Head critical wounds, arm critical wounds, so we've got critical hit tables as well. Always a lot of fun. And then you've got a character sheet and the index. There's no character starting scenario, which is disappointing. Hopefully there will be one soon. But that looks a lot of fun. It's nice to have that kind of level of play back in this setting. Dark Heresy was always like a favourite role-playing game, and we played it a little bit and enjoyed it. And it'd be great to go back to that world. Anyway, in the meantime, thanks for watching another unboxing in the Nook. If you've enjoyed this, then please do click on the like button down below. And of course, if you've got any comments or feedback, I do appreciate you taking the time to post those. And lastly, if you want to be alerted to get more unboxings in the Nook, where you'll see me out here with a box containing a book or game which I will unbox and chat about to the best extent of my knowledge for roughly 10 minutes or so, all of course accompanied by a nice hot cup of tea. Then please do click on the subscribe button down below. Thanks again for watching another unboxing in the Nook. I will be back again soon with another one. Bye for now.